in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Well, we're not really ready because we're learning something. Okay. I'm just surprised they don't tell us where Beyond the Pale came from.
Oh, the expression.
Phrase.
Well, probably it's somewhere down.
Hi, guys. Welcome to the show. It be a Thursday, specifically the 12th of July. And Tom Sokolowski is here, of course. And as usual, we're interested in words. Derivation. What did we say beyond the pale? Somebody said beyond the pale. We were having a conversation about Penn State.
Yes.
We were, obviously, the Freeh report coming out. Freeh coming out at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, 9 o'clock it was posted. And
9 10, it was posted, and 10 he speaks.
Yeah.
Hey, Jess, is there any way we can pick up any of that?
Hear it?
Live?
Yes, live.
Look into it.
Okay, look into it. I would think maybe. Anyway, so outside the pale means the ability to move outside this defined piece of real estate. No.
Well, CNN's doing it, but I don't know if we can trust CNN.
Well, you know what's interesting about CNN? Because this was it last week? When was
2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago?
When they said
that the court overturned Obamacare.
There was a lot of shit about that because there were three of them who got it wrong.
Well, they did and Fox did. At least CNN apologized. Fox, of course, did not. But CNN this morning, so I did turn it on this morning at 9 when it was supposed to come out. And they were, of course, leading with it, and they went directly to some reporter, maybe in Happy Valley, and she had nothing to say. I mean, she said, well, we have the report. It's 200 pages. I've only been able to, and we have a number of producers working on it right now. We'll be able to, and I thought, oh, boy, they are under such pressure.
Pressure
not to screw this one up, to take their time
and
get it right.
I'm not, like you, Madame, a professional journalist. But, on one level, what difference does it make if it's 5 minutes? Get it right.
Yeah, exactly. So, Jess, is Freeh speaking yet?
Yes. I can turn it off in 20 seconds. They're playing a
Okay. Well, maybe we'll pop in and out every once in a while, see what he's saying. Here is some of what CNN has pulled from the report. Some
key passages.
Key passages. 4 of the most powerful people at Penn State, President Spanier, Senior Vice President Curly Schultz, blah, 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 and head football coach Joseph Paterno, failed to protect against a child sexual predator harming children for over a decade. These men concealed Sandusky's activities from the Board of Trustees, the university community, and authorities. They exhibited a striking lack of empathy for Sandusky's victims by failing to inquire as to their safety and well-being, especially by not attempting to determine the identity of the child who Sandusky assaulted in the Lash Building in 2001.
And that was ostensibly
That's the one that McQueary... No, well, it wasn't the first. It's the one with the eyewitness.
The eyewitness with McCloskey.
McQueary.
McQueary, right.
Can we let's just see what Freeh said.
2001 emails between Mr. Spanier, Schultz, and Curley. The complete emails are now available on our website. Unfortunately, portions of these emails have been leaked to the media. We strongly condemn and deplore these leaks. Let me assure you that none of these leaks came from the Special Investigative Counsel team. Some individuals declined to be interviewed. Also, the Pennsylvania Attorney General requested that we not interview certain potential witnesses. We honored those requests. Mr. Paterno passed away before he had the opportunity to speak with us, although we did speak with some of his representatives. We believe that he was willing to speak with us and would have done so but for his serious deteriorating health. We were able to review and evaluate his grand jury testimony, his public statements, and notes and papers from his files that were provided to us by his attorney. Our most saddening and sobering finding is the total disregard for the safety and welfare of Sandusky's child victims by the most senior leaders at Penn State. The most powerful men at Penn State failed to take any steps for 14 years to protect the children who Sandusky victimized. Mr. Spanier, Schultz, Paterno, and Curley never demonstrated, through actions or words, any concern for the safety and well-being of Sandusky's victims until after Sandusky's arrest. In critical written correspondence that we uncovered on March 20th of this year, we see evidence of their proposed plan of action in February 2001 that included reporting allegations about Sandusky to the authorities. After Mr. Curley consulted with Mr. Paterno, however, they changed the plan and decided not to make the report to the authorities. The failure to protect the February 9, 2001 child victim or make attempts to identify him created a dangerous situation for other unknown, unsuspecting young boys who were lured to the Penn State campus in football games by Sandusky and victimized repeatedly by him. Further, they exposed this child to additional harm by alerting Sandusky, who was the only one who knew the child's identity, about what McQuarrie saw in the shower on the night of February 9, 2001. The stated reasons by Mr. Spanier, Schultz, Paterno, and Curley for not taking action to identify the victim and for not reporting Sandusky to the police or child welfare are: 1, nobody told them it was sexual conduct; 2, Sandusky should be treated humanely; and 3, somebody else would handle it. Taking into account the available witness statements and evidence, it is more reasonable to conclude that in order to avoid the consequences of bad publicity, the most powerful leaders at Penn State University, Mr. Spanier, Schultz, Paterno, and Curley, repeatedly concealed facts relating to Sandusky's child abuse from the authorities, the Board of Trustees, the Penn State community, and the public at large. Although concern to treat the child abuser humanely was expressly stated, no such sentiments were ever expressed by them to Sandusky's victims. The evidence shows that these 4 men also knew about a 1998 criminal investigation of Sandusky related to suspected sexual misconduct and a young boy in a Penn State football locker shower room. Again, they showed no concern about the victim. The evidence shows that Mr. Paterno was made aware of the 1998 investigation of Sandusky, followed it closely, but failed to take any action, even though Sandusky had been a key member of his coaching staff for about 30 years and had an office just steps away from Mr. Paterno. At the very least, Mr. Paterno could have alerted the entire football staff in order to prevent Sandusky from bringing another child into the Lash building. Mr. Spanier, Schultz, Paterno, and Curley also failed to alert the Board of Trustees about the 1998 investigation or take any other action against Mr. Sandusky. None of them ever spoke to Sandusky about his conduct. In short, nothing was done, and Sandusky was allowed to continue with impunity. Based on the evidence, the only known intervening factor between the decision made on February 25, 2001, by Mr. Spanier, Curley, and Schultz to report the incident to the Department of Public Welfare and then agreeing not to do so on February 27th was Mr. Paterno's February 26th conversation with Mr. Curley regarding what to do about Sandusky. We never had the opportunity to talk with Mr. Paterno, but he did say what he told McQuarrie on February 10, 2011, when McQuarrie reported what he saw Sandusky doing in the shower the night before. Quote, "You did what you had to do. It is now my job to figure out what we want to do." What was to figure out here? We also know that he delayed, Mr. Paterno, reporting Sandusky's sexual conduct because Mr. Paterno did not want to, quote, interfere with people's weekend. To his credit, Mr. Paterno stated on November 9, 2011, with the benefit of hindsight, "I wish I had done more." Their callous and shocking disregard for child victims was underscored by the grand jury, which noted in its November 4, 2011 presentment that there was, quote, "no attempt to investigate, to identify victim 2, or to protect that child or others from similar conduct, except as related to preventing its recurrence on university property," close quote. None of these four men took any responsible action after February 2001, other than Mr. Curley informing the Second Mile that Mr. Sandusky had showered with a boy. Even though they all knew about the 1998 incident, the best they could muster to protect Sandusky's victims was to ask Sandusky not to bring his, quote, guests, unquote, into the Penn State facilities. We found no evidence that the Penn State Board of Trustees was aware of the allegations regarding Sandusky in 1998 and 2001, but that does not shield the board from criticism. Despite its duties of care and oversight of the university and its officers, the board failed to create an environment which held the university's most senior officers accountable to it. Mr. Spanier resisted the board's attempt to have more transparency. In fact, around the time that Mr. Sandusky, Mr. Curley, and Mr. Schultz were arrested, Mr. Spanier was unwilling to give the board any more information than what was going to be told by him to the public. After a media report on March 31st, 2011, the board was put on notice about serious allegations that Sandusky was sexually assaulting children on the Penn State campus. Yet, it failed in its duty to make reasonable inquiry into these serious matters and to demand any action by the president. The president, a senior vice president, and general counsel did not perform their duty to make timely, thorough, and forthright reports of the 1998 and 2001 allegations to the board. This was a failure of governance for which the board must also bear responsibility. From 1998 to 2011, Penn State's tone at the top for transparency, compliance, police reporting, and child protection was completely wrong, as shown by the inaction and concealment on the part of its most senior leaders, and followed by those at the bottom of the university's pyramid of power. This is best reflected by the janitor's decision not to report Sandusky's horrific 2000 sexual assault of a young boy in the Lash Building shower. These janitors were afraid of being fired for reporting a powerful football coach. The other important part of our charge was to make recommendations to prevent such catastrophic failures to report from ever again occurring at Penn State. The Board of Trustees had requested recommendations as soon as possible in order to improve policies and procedures regarding the protection of children on its campuses. Just this summer alone, over 20,000 non-student minors are participating in sport campuses just at the University Park campus. To ensure that these children would be better protected, we gave the Board of Trustees 14 of our preliminary recommendations in January, almost all of which have now been implemented. Further, we suggested that some longer-term changes, including the creation of a comprehensive and stringent compliance program, including board oversight through a compliance committee. That committee would have oversight responsibility for all regulatory obligations, including the Clery Act, and the chief compliance officer would have a direct reporting line to the committee. The university has commenced a national search for a highly qualified chief compliance officer and adopted 2 new policies for the protection of children. One provides for annual training on child abuse and mandatory reporting for all employees.
We're going to break in here, guys, because I think we got the the general
damning evidence.
Scathing. Unbelievable. And the repetition of the names of these 4 men. Spanier, Curley, what would be that other guy? And Paterno.
And Paterno, right. Schultz.
I mean, it's so damning, it's unbelievable.
I mean, just not wanting to sully what they had as their goose with golden eggs.
And children be damned.
I mean,
he said,
yes.
The one phrase he stood out, callous and shocking disregard. Mm-hmm. Tom and I were mentioning that we found it a little odd that money has been pouring into Penn State since
or at least as the end of the year for
it's like you said the highest, but I thought it was the second highest.
You may be right, but it was very
second
positive.
Highest amount of money flowing into the coffers of Penn State. And I would imagine that that's from alums who are wanting to show support for the institution they love. But, I mean, there's clearly going to have to be some effort on the part of tens of thousands of individuals.
Right. Well, I mean, you could say, if you indeed believe that, you could say, all right, I am making a $100,000 grant to you, but it is to be restricted to child protection, child education, or something, as opposed to, if it just went to the sports program. Because that definitely seems to suggest, oh, well, hail fellow, well met. Things like that happen, buddy, and let's just soldier on.
It's I don't know. I mean, it seems to me Paterno, and it will be noted over and over again, as did Mr. Freeh, that he wasn't able to be questioned himself, but
his one statement, I should have done more, that he said. Yeah,
and well, it's true, but he also, I mean, the statements that we've heard, I mean, are damning.
Yeah, he hushed it up.
Just damning. He was very much involved in the cover-up. I mean, we're talking about a cover-up here. He knew Sandusky had been charged with or observed molesting children. He knew that for over a decade. So McQueary running to his house to tell him what he saw was no shock.
No. Well, the kind of what was McQuarrie said something like, "Oh, I didn't know how to tell Mr. Paterno because he's such a genteel man," or something like that. I mean, for heaven's sakes, that's just ridiculous. I mean, they were trying to protect him if they were closing the wagons because, again, he's the goose. He was a famous and beloved coach, and now all of a sudden, that coach was going to be brought to task, brought to bear.
Lynn writes, Ray, why oh why has there never been such a report in this kind of critical detail about the long-standing crisis and scandal in the Catholic Church?
Exactly.
You could almost substitute Catholic Church for Penn State and Bishop so-and-so for, a Penn State official's name. Yeah.
No, because they even have more to lose. I mean, with the other, it's just sport, but here it's like divine lineage. Because, I mean, having been raised as a Catholic, the Pope is chosen by God to represent him on earth. And these bishops and cardinals and then down the money train are all connected to God. So then you're really it's not pushing the buck up to Sandusky, it's up to the heavenly powers, the cherubim and seraphim.
But
and you know what they say about angels too.
Well, but okay. So why is it this is important? I'm just picking up on what Ray said because with this kind of a report, Penn State at least, it paid for this damning report.
So give them that credit.
Right. So it can now begin to right itself, and it's done the right thing finally by subjecting itself to this horror and humiliation of whatever. But I wonder how an institution actually changes. I mean, something so large, something so endemic, and then with its well, when I walked into the studio today, Jess and Tom were talking about Jess's nephew and not believing in Santa Claus. And frankly, I'm thinking that this is the same kind of thing for so many Penn State alums. They're going to have to let go of JoePa.
Yes, right, exactly.
Well, I don't see him doing it. I mean, this is as bad as finding out there's no Santa Claus. Is it not?
I think it's a little worse than that, my dear.
I know, but I'm saying for the difficulty of coming to terms with it.
Well, think about how many times does one hear cases of, molestation within a family, and the wife, let's say if it's the father molesting sons or daughters.
Looks the other way.
And will not believe it because she just doesn't want to.
Can't do it. Right.
And, I mean, what's behind all these things is this whole business of sort of in loco parentis, both in terms of clergy or sports figures, teachers, and you put your children in their hands with the presumption that they're responsible leaders. And now in the case, we're throwing them into the swill.
Yeah. Wow. Well, this is the big story, obviously, today. And I don't know. So Freeh must be from New York. Could you get that in his accent? It sounded like Long Island to me.
It did sort of, yeah.
The thing that absolutely nailed it was when he said the word humanely. Only he didn't say humanely. He said humanely.
It did sort of sound like a
and I think of that as very Long Islandy. Humanely. It's like a lot of people around here, for instance, the woman's name, Yvonne. Yvonne. People around here say Yvonne.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, they do. No, so I don't know what that's about.
or the other one, which we're back to language, the name Dwayne something.
Yeah.
People who say Dwayne. Dwayne, you wear your hat.
Yeah, Dwayne, you wear your the memory of all that.
Oh, no.
They can't take that away from me. Yeah, but now Dwayne There are
Actually,
people named
out.
that's spelled right now.
Yeah,
it's
like
D-E-W. Dewey.
Well, there's especially among African Americans, there's very creative spelling of names.
Oh, God, they make my head spin, though. And how is anyone supposed to remember them?
Right.
You know, it's hard. Me, if your name is Bob, Jim, Dick, Harry, I still have trouble remembering. But if your name is, Taya, Kasha, I saw the other day there was a picture in the paper and they had the names. It was a grandmother walking with her 3 children. Do you remember?
No,
Did you read the
no,
names?
no.
I actually looked at one for a long, long time trying to think, oh, my God. Okay, so no one knows how to spell those names.
Right.
So there's something. I don't know what it.
Well, it's interesting. There's something about the crafting of the name.
That is interesting. It's
yeah,
really
because
interesting.
like with the baby, what are you going to call the baby? Oh, we don't know. Or, he looked like a George. Or he looked like his great-grandfather, so we decided to call him George.
But the sort of creativity involved in some of these names is wonderful. But
you think it would say it was like
some of them seem
Tikawak? Oh, the name of a burbling brook in Iroquois or something.
But the thing is most of these names, these odd names now that so many African American young people have, they don't mean anything.
No, they're just made up. Yeah.
Yeah. If it if it was like, I don't know, Swahili for something.
Well, I suppose it's probably no different if you said like, Mary, which obviously came from the Virgin in Christian parlance. And then you have Marianne and Marian and Anna Marie. And so it's that kind of alliteration that has happened for many years.
Well, anyway, so, all this Penn State thing has made me sick.
Yeah. Well, I hope, and it will take time because it will be generational too. But I think it really, I went on about this last time, but it needs to, we need to get rid of the sacrosanctity, both in religious issues, as Ray points out, but also in sport. Athletics in terms of sound body are a good thing, but not when they're pushed to the limits because it's all about money, whether it's...
But it is all about, when money's involved,
Well, that's it.
That's it?
Well, just like what's all the news now, Lance Armstrong, who we for years have said, oh, this is brilliant, was he doping? Or this whole business, which I guess...
I have little doubt.
Well, I have a little doubt, too. But then this whole business where they...
It's another Santa Claus is dead.
This is legal, where they do things like take 2 quarts or pints or whatever the amount is of your own blood, and then like
fiddle with it.
Well, no, not even fiddle, but then your body makes up for whatever blood you have to have in your body, 5 liters or whatever, and then they give you that extra liter the night before. It's your own blood, so it's not a drug, but that so gives you more red blood cells that it's like some sort of additive.
Jesus.
All for the point of
winning. And
then all the betting and all the,
Winning is very important.
I always remember that, was it 100 years ago? Neither of us were born, but was it the Boston Black Sox and Say It Ain't So, Joe, little kid, to the baseball player who had taken a bribe or whatever, I can't remember.
Shoeless Joe Jackson.
Yeah.
Say It Ain't So. I watched The Natural last night with Robert Redford. Do you remember seeing that?
That's never saw the film, but I know of it, yes.
Baseball movie. Why I was doing that, I don't know, because I don't think it was over till 2 a.m.
Oh, but you're fixated with baseball. I know.
I am. I can't help it. Isn't there any sport you follow? Do you get into the Olympics at all?
Oh, well, I like.
What do you like?
Gymnastics.
You like gymnastics.
Ice skating, all the homo stuff.
Oh. And why would that be? Because it's more artistic, or
I guess the bodies
are so gorgeous?
You know why? No, not even that. I think because particularly, I was a gymnast as a kid. There's this Polish organization called, and they're based actually here in Pittsburgh, the Polish Falcons, or the word in Sokolowski. And part of their activities was, I'm not sure if they still do it years ago, but they would have gymnastics lessons. And I went twice a week, after school in the evenings and did.
For how many years?
Oh my God,
years and
5
years.
or 6. Yeah. All
So you got good. You
I
could
wasn't bad, yeah.
What was your best event?
I think parallel bars.
Parallel bars. So you could like swing yourself around up and down.
Yeah, well, not like they do in the Olympics, mind you. But yes, yeah, do a handstand.
Could you could do a handstand?
Yeah.
Just by
Now I couldn't even
propelling
get
your
up on
body
the
up and
bar.
then stay? Wow, that's amazing. Wow.
It's funny. Well, you know why I liked it? Because I think it wasn't a normative sport. So it wasn't like, as we talked last time or one time, boy, you should play football or baseball. It wasn't what everyone did. So I could be my own. And I was never a sort of fabulous natural athlete, but I wasn't coming up against everyone else who knew how to hit a baseball. We were talking about your son as well. So that's why I liked it.
So you could do a cartwheel and things like that. I've never been able to do, really? I think I was afraid of throwing my feet over my head in any way. No, I couldn't do it.
I just remember this funny line that got bleeped on Hollywood Squares once. You remember the old comic Paul Lynde?
I think you told us this one.
Oh, and he was supposed to answer this question. What happens? What happens when I see heaven when? And his answer was, I see heaven when my baby does a cartwheel.
There you go.
And I remember they bleeped him. But
could you do the splits?
No, that I couldn't do. Except that's harder for men just because of our anatomies.
But men can do it.
But some can, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like ballet dancers do these amazing things.
Okay. We got to take a break. Yes. Mm-hmm. All righty, guys. We'll be back in just a moment.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen Live after this.
You in the City and Hosanna House Summer Nights present Jazz Under the Stars, starring Najee, Friday, July 13th. 8 p.m. at the Sherwood Event Center in Wilkinsburg. Tickets available at Dorsey's, Stediford's, or charge by phone at 1-800-383-5760. Najee, live in concert July 13th. Proceeds benefit Hosanna House, a place called Hope.
Go to birdbargains.com for great deals on tickets to the Science Center, the History Museum, Carnegie Museums, and some of the best restaurants in Pittsburgh. During the month of July, spend $50 on Bird Bargains merchandise and receive a $10 gift certificate to Buca di Beppo. Birdbargains.com. Local deals, local merchants. Birdbargains.com.
Get Lynn Cullen Live on your smartphone. Go to citypapermobile.com now for Pittsburgh City Paper's brand new mobile app. Get the latest restaurant reviews, event listings, movie times, and of course, Lynn Cullen Live on your smartphone. citypapermobile.com.
You're listening to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Once again, here's Lynn Cullen.
Okay, I got annoyed reading the paper today.
Good.
And I got annoyed in the random acts of kindness.
They're always written by women.
Always, not always, but almost always. When I pointed it out to Gary Rothstein, who compiles it, he's the editor of Page 2. He said that it was amazing how it's just women who send these things in, men never do. And then, like a few weeks later, there was one man, and then a week after that, there were all men.
Oh my!
But generally speaking, it's not. It's not. Well, we've got Freeh's whole report here. I mean, it's awfully long. This isn't the report. These are his remarks, for God's sake. Conclusion. Okay, here's the grand finale. The release of our report today marks the beginning of a process for Penn State and not the end. It is critical that Old Main, the board, and Penn State community never forget these failures and commit themselves to strengthening an open, compliant, and victim-sensitive environment where everyone has the duty to blow the whistle on anyone who breaks this trust. Okay, well... Yeah, and here he is. We almost had him to the end. He only had a few paragraphs left before we got. But if he's taking questions, that would be something. It's just damning.
The one I love that you just passed it was when, in terms of Paterno, he said, "We don't want it to ruin anyone's weekend."
We don't want it to ruin. Oh, here it is. Paterno delayed reporting Sandusky's sexual conduct because he said he did not, quote, want to interfere with people's weekend.
The atomic bomb is coming, but continue your barbecue.
Wow. The best they could muster. None of these four men took any responsible action after February of 2001. Not a one. That is so damning.
Yeah. Well, they're covering their own and any other palpable asses that could be drawn into all of this.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there's going to be like unbelievable attempts on the part of the Paterno family to, protect him and negate in some way the findings. Except
the only thing is, though, I mean, these are direct quotes from him. They didn't get to speak with him again because of his ill health. But when he said, "I should have done more, and I didn't want to, bother people's weekends," I mean, he said that. This isn't edited commentary. And so what can they say? Well, they'll babble on, but I mean, let it lie.
Don't worry,
he's
will
dead
say.
And let him.
They will say. He's lucky he's dead.
Well.
Yeah?
You said it, oh queen, not a...
Yeah, no, he's lucky he's dead. But I think we'll see how many Joe Paterno, lovers can't...
Sandusky. Come to terms
with this aspect.
Well, and the point could be, I mean, this is my whole point. If he was a good football coach, which obviously he was, fine, praise him for that, but don't make him into Saint Joe Paterno.
But they did.
And the point is,
now they got to deal with that.
Yeah, exactly.
And come to terms with
it.
And let it go.
Because what was the guy? Wasn't the guy at Ohio State? I can remember his name, who beat the player.
Woody Hayes.
Woody Hayes, yeah. He died finally, I guess, because he was quite elderly. No, I mean, he was of the same vintage, I think.
He was older.
He was drunker and he used to slap the players around if they didn't do. I mean, my goodness.
I'll be curious.
My favorite one though was she was an owner, but what was that woman's name? Was it Georgia? She owned the team, and she'd get on the baseball field with her two.
You're thinking
St.
of
Bernards. Marge Schott.
Of the Reds.
Oh, the Reds? Okay.
Right.
I loved Marge Schott.
She was a vicious.
Yeah, but she was such a caricature.
She was a Nazi-loving, racist, just despicable, trashy human being.
Sports, once again.
Jesus.
Well, I remember the good days coming from Chicago when Bill Veeck, who had only one leg, owned the Chicago White Sox and was really a wonderful man, at least from whatever I think.
Great guy, and he's the one who came up. He knew it was all entertainment and marketing. He's the one who signed the little person.
What do you mean, the little person?
Isn't he? He signed onto the team. Are you able to say dwarf anymore?
Oh.
I mean, or midget? Yeah. Because, stop and think of it. The strike zone of when you throw balls, you have to,
put it within the right.
It's detailed and delineated by the player's body.
Right.
So if you had a little teeny weeny guy and he's crouched on top of it, what are the odds of hitting that strike zone?
That's interesting. Oh, see, God, she's becoming...
What?
What was the guy with the terrible towel? What was his name? Myron Cope? You're going to become the Myron Cope of baseball.
Who was the guy with the terrible towel?
I'm not Pittsburgh.
What? You're going to be run out of town on a rail.
Oh, no.
On a rail.
Oh, they all know my place and my feeling about sport.
Myron Cope. I used to say that I was the love child of Myron Cope and Sophie Maslow.
Oh, my God.
Well, I mean, given my, my voice.
No, but the two of them. I mean, especially
what do you
him.
mean?
That voice of his.
He was a brilliant writer. Do you know that?
Really? Well, I respect the whole.
He started as he was a Sports Illustrated writer,
really?
Maybe the best.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yes, wrote some of the great. If you back up, Google, Myron Cope Sports Illustrated, you'll have a different sense.
Well, no, I respect when I found out that when he created that stupid, terrible towel, that all the proceeds for it go to something with children.
Autism, because he had a child.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But that line of his, ooh.
The what?
That voice of his was awful.
But he took that voice and he was you like
no, I don't
characters.
No. But listening, I do. But I mean, listening to it was.
Well, the first time you heard it, if you were not a Pittsburgher, the first time I heard him, I would have had the same reaction you had, which is, what the hell? Yeah, it took some getting used to.
Well, I remember we had a guy in Chicago. What was his name now? I can just remember him. Jack Brickhouse.
Oh, sure.
And he had sort of a voice like that. He was sort of the Chicago version of Myron Cope.
Wasn't he the Cubs?
Yes. I don't think he did. No, I think he only did baseball. He didn't do football.
Oh, God. We got to take a break again. I should have taken this week off. Because there's no news. I have nothing to say about anything. Do you?
Well, in the light of all this, whatever, what can one say? But just take a deep breath.
Jesus. All right, guys, sorry.
Let's think of something fun after the break.
We'll try. I think I actually have something in my back pocket.
Oh, you always do.
I know. Stay tuned.
More is on the way with Lynn Cullen Live.
Pick up this week's Pittsburgh City Paper for our annual City Guide magazine, the definitive publication on the Burgh. Vote now in Pittsburgh City Paper's annual Best of Pittsburgh Readers Poll and register to win a new iPad. Pittsburgh City Paper available at over 1,700 locations throughout Western Pennsylvania and on the web at pghcitypaper.com and on your smartphone at citypapermobile.com.
Gustavo and Vela wants to thank all of southwestern Pennsylvania, the USA, and the world for helping to liberate his native country of Equatorial Guinea. Equatorial Guinea has suffered 43 years of dictatorship, 43 years of human rights abuses, 43 years of corruption, and 43 years of kleptocracy. Even with $5 billion in oil revenue in 2011, the 700,000 citizens of Equatorial Guinea earn less than $2 per day. A proud Mount Lebanon resident, please help Gustavo and Vela usher in the 21st century by allowing freedom, democracy, and socioeconomic prosperity by the rule of law for the next 43 years and beyond. Email him at presidentandvela@yahoo.com to help free Equatorial Guinea.
Are you struggling with your mortgage payments? Call 888-995-HOPE to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about your options. Or visit makinghomeaffordable.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Treasury, HUD, and the Ad Council.
Now, it's back to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com.
Okay. We're back. Dave,
you said you had something in your
that's right.
pocket or your
Well,
purse.
just share this.
Right.
Dave writes, I've long said that you, Sophie Masloff, and Myron Cope should have recorded a Christmas album. If Dylan could do it, so could you. Well, now Myron's gone, he says, and so...
How long? A few years, not too many.
No, it has been quite a few,
really?
I think.
Okay.
I really do. Okay, so here's what this came out of the paper today, and this clearly shows that there's a whole subculture in the bar scene that I know nothing about. Because
you don't put your culottes and halter top on and go to these
cocktail parties.
What?
No, So it says here in the paper that while Pittsburgh has many fine restaurants that serve many fine cocktails, it still lacks a true cocktail bar. Okay, what's a cocktail?
Well, I think what they meant by that, I read the same piece, was rather now everyone is sort of gin and tonic or martini. Back years ago, always these, like, wasn't there a drink called the Mule and the pink one, a Pink Lady, Grasshopper?
But those are common mixed drinks.
Very rarely do you see people ordering those sorts of things.
Kelly, but they say that no, the only...
Well, the point is, I was telling Lynn before, that I've been to the Embury, which is
Does
in the
anyone know where
firehouse.
that's?
Yes, it's like about...
In the Strip.
Yeah, well, no, it's not, but they've moved. They're moving
They're
to the
moving
south side.
to the south side, and that's what this is about.
But they created special drinks. I remember one time going there with some staff when I was still at the Andy Warhol Museum, and one of our staff just said, "I'd like a gin and tonic," and one of the bar ladies hissed at him because they would always do things like mull, hyssop, and honey, and vermouth, and rye, and make some drink.
What's hyssop?
Oh, it's an old. It comes from biblical times. It was like an herb. It comes from the Middle East, like myrrh and hyssop and whatever. And they'll mash flowers in with. But it just took. I remember to get one of your drinks done. It took like 7 minutes, and the people would be waiting and waiting. You know.
Jess is willing to wait.
This old queen needs a drink.
And it says that they'll have hundreds of different bourbons.
Oh, yeah. I think
See,
those
I
are
mean,
all these artisanal bourbons in the South.
So, okay, so here, and they also say that the new place on Carson Street he's hoping that his most frequent customers will buy memberships to the bar.
Oh.
Annual memberships that will give them first dibs
I see.
when out-of-town bartenders appear at the bar.
Well, I guess it's
people come and they
like a DJ, I guess.
Like a DJ, right? Like we're getting so and so the most extraordinary.
Well, wasn't there?
bartender.
What was talking about? People of the moment. What was the name of that movie with Tom Cruise
where he was the bartender?
It was called Cocktail, maybe.
Yeah, right.
And
that
was about throwing bottles and doing all kind of.
Okay, so he said that. So if you were willing to pay a membership to this place, and they get in like some unbelievably hard to get bourbon,
yes,
you would be notified.
Yes,
and.
Well, it's a social.
This is all beyond.
Well, you know, it's like, have you ever been to that?
Masculine?
Have you ever? I think it's probably more men, but have you ever been to what's that restaurant downtown? The Capitol Grill. Well, you go in, and when you're speaking with the maître or maîtresse d, waiting for your reservation, there are wine racks behind, and there are cases of wine or huge flagons of fancy bourbon, and it will say like Lynn Cullen stock. So only you can have that when you come to dine there.
Oh, la-di-da.
Well, it's...
Where's the Capitol Grill?
It's in the old Lazarus building. Schmick and McCulker, or whatever it's called. McCormick and Schmick is on one end of that block, and Capitol Grill's on the other. So they share the first floor along Wood Street.
Okay. Shows how much I know.
It's one of those places like Morton's or Root Chris.
Okay, so why would you have two steakhouses right essentially in the same building then?
They have different tone.
Oh, jeez. Well, okay,
it's one of those, very woody banquettes of leather.
It's always dark woods.
If we didn't have the anti-smoking ban, there'd be.
Well, the Duquesne Club looks like that. When I was.
Well, that has even greater tone.
I mean, when you think of what those walls have witnessed with
for those beds.
Yeah. Oh, jeez, God. And what is it with the art in those old fusty places? Why is it always hunting dogs and
well, because it was playing to the
pretensions
pretensions and interests of these guys.
Wasps.
Well, wasps, but certainly men. But they did, to their credit, collect some of the things in their collections are quite good. I mean, in terms of that period of like mid to late 19th century hunting paintings, or they have some still lifes and some landscapes. Yeah, they have some nice things.
So when you walk around and you look at the art, you think there's good stuff.
And I think if I'm not mistaken, they have a curator, and I think every once in a while they still buy something. And this curator makes sure that the works are cleaned and restored when needs be, and they have a number of people.
They would never have a Warhol in there.
I don't think so, no. But I don't think they really have anything contemporary. They're sort of like, there's that one guy, Gerson, who was a German painter who came to Western Pennsylvania, I think in the 1840s or something, and he's very la-di-da. And I think they've bought something by him. But there are some members. There's actually an art committee, collectors and whatever, and they look after the collection. And
okay, I'll say no more. I stand corrected. But I hate those kinds of paintings. Because I hate that I hate that bunch. I've got a bias against the riding to the hounds and that whole crowd.
Right.
Yuck. So Margie's saying it's not going to make it a cocktail bar on the Southside because the Southside is just for drunken kids and beer
who vomit and urinate and.
It does seem like a strange fit.
Sofa's on fire.
Yeah, and they did mention it that they don't want. They're actually thinking that are they not open on Friday and Saturday nights or something? They really are going to try to avoid.
They said this is going to be the top floor or something of this building that has another.
They hope that the upstairs bar will draw the bulk of its clientele Sunday through Thursday.
That's going to, I guess, after hours kind of thing. You know. If you sip cocktails, you don't sort of, you don't get 75 grasshoppers.
So this is the same crowd, though, that would otherwise maybe want to be smoking as well.
Maybe.
And cigars.
Yeah, and maybe like young business people, young stockbroker types, I guess. I don't know.
Now, here's something interesting. In their former iteration down at in the Strip
District, yes.
They did not have vodka.
Oh,
they did not have vodka. And it says here they're not sure if they will allow vodka in this place.
Oh, bizarre.
What is this? A lot of people drink. They said it's Americans did not drink vodka until after World War II.
Right. Well, I think one of the reasons people always say is vodka. People are like, let's have a Grey Goose, or let's have what's that Russian one, or whatever it's called. Yeah, well, there are other fancier ones, but to my mind, vodka, unless you flavor it, they all taste the
nothing,
same.
Right?
And I think the reason it was for people who like to knock a few back, your breath did not reek of spirit, and that was one of the reasons. And therefore, if you put like a what do you call those with orange juice? What's that drink? Screwdriver. You basically taste the orange juice.
That's right.
As opposed to bourbon or rye or scotch.
Which is, there's no masking
gin,
that.
There's
right.
very decisive.
So vodka's for sissies.
Well, not according to the Russians. No, because if you literally take it and mull it with like pits of cherries and things like that, and then freeze it, it's divine. But you don't then mix up all this froth and stick parasols in it and monkeys.
Well, they might not have vodka there either. So
Sacre bleu.
Sacre bleu.
B-L-E-U.
Well, so what does that mean? Sacred blue?
Yeah, I don't know what
so what does that mean?
Well, it's like just an exclamation.
I wonder what it means.
The sacred blue, I think, was referred to what only the kings could wear, if I'm not mistaken, the color of the kings.
I thought that was red.
No, not for the French. I think it's the sacre. You want to look up, Jess? Sacre bleu?
Sacre bleu.
Or was it maybe the Virgin's blue garment? I don't remember.
Okay.
But it's just one of those phrases that really doesn't mean anything anymore.
Okay. Oh, here's the annoying thing in random acts of kindness that I never even got to.
Oh, well, get to it, girl. You still have 7 minutes.
That's 7 too many for me. Here it is. There's a lovely woman recounting her story of being helped when she got lost in Mount Lebanon, and some guy, of course, getting in his car and showing her the way and blah, blah, blah.
Just like you did with the lady from Bhutan.
That's right. That's right. And here's her last line. Only in Pittsburgh. And, I just want to say, what's that about?
Yeah, I mean, really.
What do you think? There's not nice people in Poughkeepsie, in Biloxi, in,
Mexitucky?
Yeah. You think people in those places don't help strangers and maybe even get in their cars and say, just follow me because it's hard to... I mean, what is that?
That kind of.
What is? I hate that. I hate that. I hate that.
Well, that was the first thing when I first.
We're nicer than anybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what kind of crap is
the
that?
thing that struck me, but even more so, was when I first moved here. I guess because I've been living in New York for so long and raised in Chicago, etc. And it's still true. Whenever you read, I remember the person who was worst at this was Chris Rawson, who would say, oh, they're doing Amal and the Night Visitors. And the third Jew in the chorus, his mother came from McKeesport. And he would always do that. Or this one, maybe not if someone graduates.
Well, because people want it. That's true.
I know, but it's so tacky. I mean, it's one thing to say Ethel Merman was from here, but like the third Jew's mother came from McKeesport. I mean, really? But you do see that a lot. I mean, especially any Pips Creek movie star who went to one semester.
I know.
But that's part of what you're saying,
Well, my thing is more, I think that's different. Taking pleasure in the success of professional success on whatever
but I mean, the third Jews
of one of your own.
I mean,
of one of your own.
Fine.
That's sort of, okay. This is ascribing to people who live in Pittsburgh somehow a greater, better character or something.
Exactly.
And a more kindness than somebody living
it's funny. I was saying
bullshit.
Just before you came
nonsense.
in, was it Tuesday's paper or yesterday's paper? I was sitting there reading it at breakfast on the second section, that's local, and there were on the two sides of the paper, 3 major stories, each about kids shooting other kids. One was in Homestead.
Yes, I know.
One was in, I don't remember.
Yeah.
And I thought, where are we living? With such nice people. We'll be really great to you, but our kids have guns and they'll kill your grandson. I mean, it was really grotesque.
Yeah. I think we mentioned something, but there was a 2-year-old, it's on guns, but somebody had a 2-year-old on the back of a dirt bike, give me a break, and he fell off, or they crashed, and he's dead. Then there was a 3-year-old, shot himself in the eye with a gun. Yeah. Then there was another guy,
12-year-old who shot a 6-year-old.
Yeah, I know.
Said, you don't have no gun.
Well, you know what? I mean, this is America, brought to you by the gun nuts of the world.
Sacre bleu. What does it mean?
Bleu.
It's kind of like saying "God damn it," or "I swear to God." They both have that in here, but the blue is associated with Mary.
All right, so my second assumption.
Okay, Ray says, I think Dieu turned into bleu.
Yeah, that's what
so it'd be sacre Dieu, sacred God. It was the original, and then somebody said that's blaspheming.
Right.
So they said, okay, then I'll say sacre bleu.
And
like
Jesus
criminy Jeepers, like Jeepers.
Jiminy Creepers.
Well, no, Jeepers is a cleaned up version of Jesus. That's
I never knew
yes,
that.
it is.
Well, I'm not.
Think of it, Jeepers Creepers.
Where'd you get those
Jeepers? Jeepers Creepers. Where'd you get them eyes? No, but so Jeepers Creepers, and so are. Oh, there's so many like that where you couldn't. Oh, Zounds. You know what that's from? And not that we say Zounds anymore, but that was an exclamation, right? Zounds. His wounds.
Oh, my God.
Yes! You don't believe me. You don't
Well, I was
believe
thinking in Polish there's pszakew, but that means dog's blood, but that's like saying shit. Like shit. Pszakew. But...
And he says, okay, so sacre bleu, it's like Jesus Christ also was cleaned up to be Judas Priest. Right?
Wasn't Judas Priest a rock singer or a band or something?
It does have something to do with rock.
I think it was a person.
Yeah, but no, people say Judas Priest as a Judas Priest.
I've never heard someone say that.
Yes.
Well, that was just like Chris's piece about, what was it called? Jagoff. I had never heard that before coming to Pittsburgh.
No, nor had I.
How nice we are. Yo, Jagoff.
Those are the nicest people in the world, all those jagoffs in Pittsburgh. You will never find more wonderful people than the jagoffs of Pittsburgh.
You should see her face as she's saying this. There's like a three coming out.
Well, just, and my brother does this with Green Bay. He says, have you ever met greater people? I mean, because that's his, he wants to believe that people are special that come from where he comes from. Mm-hmm. What is that? It must just be... They're the best. And it's the same kind of thing. They're salt of the earth.
Oh, yes, right.
There's no pretension. They are friendly as hell. You're right?
They'll give you the last suckling pig in the litter.
And
have this for your morning bacon.
And I'm not saying that there aren't a lot of wonderful people.
No, of course,
but they're everywhere.
Right, of course.
It's not in the water.
Well, what was it that Anne Frank said? At my very heart or something, I believe that all people are good.
I don't think she went that far.
Something like that.
She said something like...
people are basically good, or something of that nature.
Something like that, yeah.
And boy, she could have had a reason not to think that.
I would say so. I would say so. God almighty. Being in that when I was in Amsterdam, being in that
her house.
Being in her room.
Right.
Being in that room where she, oh God. Unbelievable.
Amazing story, yeah.
Unbelievable.
But there, in a sense of good people who hid Jews so they wouldn't be, or ferreted them out of countries.
Well, those people are the most amazing of people.
Well, saints, yeah.
Because they were putting their own lives out.
Yes, exactly.
For,
people who they knew nothing. It was not their.
Well, they might have known them. They might, but they might have been, like in this case with the Franks, business partners or something. They knew him and cared about him somehow. But God, most people, even most people in Pittsburgh, would not do that. Would not have taken in the Franks.
Yeah, probably not.
Absolutely.
Just as most people in Europe did.
No. I'm saying most people. Most people would not. And that's just the reality because we're driven to take care of our own.
Well, and I think that's why really you have that term, heroes. It's not, Mary Lou Retton and Michael Phelps.
Correct.
But it's people who against odds of self-preservation will do something that is dangerous and fearful and will bring them, if not death, shame. That's a hero. And those heroes are few and far between, and we misuse those terms.
Well, media has done a lot of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Every person wearing
those stupid rubber...
an army uniform is a hero.
Right, exactly.
And our heroes are returning home. Well, I'm sorry. Yeah. There might be a hero in there. I don't know.
Right.
But you so absolutely take all meaning of the word away if everybody's a hero.
Well, I think it is. We've talked about this before, and but it's connected. One can't go to the theater without a standing ovation. And the point is we don't realize something is good, something is better, and something is best. And that's why there are bell curves in life, etc.
Exactly.
And we have to be able to content ourselves that most of the time we're somewhere just in the middle, living a fairly flat existence. And sometimes we have huge downturns, hopefully not for much of our lives, and then we have sublime upturns. But the normative is just on the baseline. And, heroes are good things, and some people necessarily are not monsters, like you look at many of the people during the Second World War, Germany, Poland, elsewhere. There were some monsters, certainly. But some people were fighting, and they were just about self-preservation.
Well,
that doesn't forgive them.
Or as Hannah Arendt said, it's the banality.
Well, yes, exactly.
The banality of evil.
A brilliant remark.
It is evil because it allows evil.
Yeah,
if it allows evil, looking the other way,
right.
Not resisting, you are part of the evil.
Right.
Yeah.
But there is a difference between the banal aspect and John Demjanjuk, when one is an active agent. But
yeah. I think we're done, Tom.
Well, we ended. We've done evil. We've talked about immediate.
Yeah, we came full circle
and drinks. Grasshoppers, and now we moved to John Demjanjuk. What a crowd!
Well,
what a day.
I'll tell you, sacre, bleu.
And on that, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.